Hi, it's Representative Rick Larsen, and I'm here for this week's weekly recap with Rick from Washington, D.C. It's a very rainy, some say cozy day here in Washington, D.C. Things are changing. The Cherry Blossom Festival is kicking off, and we have a lot of tourists from Washington State visiting their nation's capital, and I'll get to that in a moment. But today I voted no on a bill, H.R. 5, the Politics Over Parents Act. I can sum up this bill in one word: nuts. This is a bill about divisive politicians putting politics over parents, attempting to bully students and teachers with real extreme, with their really extreme positions on issues on books, on LGBTQ, plus kids, on bringing guns in the classroom. And the bill, that the Politics Over Parents bill, would basically put the federal government in charge of all of these things when we need to have local control in our schools. So I voted against this. It is a bill that will go nowhere fast, and it should go nowhere fast. And I hope you'll stand with me on that. Congress should be delivering resources to parents, to schools, to students, in supporting our states and our local school districts in that effort. Earlier this week, there's work going on as well. I've participated in 2 transportation and infrastructure hearings. First off, the aviation subcommittee hearing examined how we can improve the passenger travel experience for everyone who takes advantage of air travel in the United States. This is part of our ongoing effort to reauthorize the Federal Aviation Administration bill. And then second, a Coast Guard subcommittee hearing on the implementation of the Ocean Shipping Reform Act, as well as the investments that we can make into our ports in order to curb supply chain issues. We'll continue our work on the T&I committee, and I look forward to that as well. And back to tours, I had a chance to meet with a lot of folks in Washington State this week. I got a list here. The Port of Bellingham sent representatives this week. The Port of Anacortes had people here. The Washington State Department of Transportation was in town to talk infrastructure. The mayor of Ferndale was in town. The mayor of Mount Vernon was in D.C. as well. The Department of Health was out this week, and students from Meridian Middle School were also in town as part of something called Close Up. It's great to see students back. In fact, next month, in April, our office is hosting 50 tours of people who are visiting from Washington State, from the district itself. And so we'll be busy entertaining constituents here in DC over the next month. This week I'm attending going to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. I'm leaving actually very soon. That's in New London, Connecticut, and that's part of my job as a lead Democrat on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. We have oversight over the Coast Guard because of its important domestic role. And so I'll be discussing how federal investments in infrastructure there at the Coast Guard Academy, as well as training for our cadets, will keep the Coast Guard going long in the future. And finally, this week marks 2 very sad anniversaries in the Pacific Northwest. First is the Oso landslide tragedy, where 43 people died, and I'd like everyone to keep those 43 people and their families, some who I knew personally, keep those folks in your mind as well, and even maybe visit the memorial up there on Highway 530 between Arlington and Darrington. And finally, this 1 year, it's been 1 year since Officer Rocha of the Everett Police Department was killed, and the trial's going on right now in Everett. And I'd want you to keep him and his family in mind, but also recognize that we're doing a Peace Officers Memorial Service in Washington, D.C. very soon, and we'll be thinking of Officer Rocha and many of the other officers who died over the last year. So keep those folks in mind. Well, that's it for this week with Recap with Rick, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.